Hello, little adventures, and welcome back to our story corner. Today we have a wonderfully bubbly tale about our good friend JellyJiggle. Are you ready for some slippery, sudsy fun? Let's dive in. One bright and sunny morning, JellyJiggle woke up with a fantastic idea.
Aha! He said to himself, wiggling with excitement.
My friends work so hard all week. I'm going to surprise them by cleaning their houses. It will be the best, cleanest surprise.
With a cheerful hum, JellyJiggle gathered his cleaning supplies.
He had a bucket, a fluffy sponge, a long-handled mop, and a very special extra-large bottle of soap.
The bottle was bright blue and sparkled in the sunlight.
It was Labelhead Super Bubble Soap for extra tough messes. JellyJiggle had never used it before, but super and extra sounded perfect for his grand plan, he thought.
This will make everything twice as shiny.
His first stop was Barnaby Bear's cozy log cabin. Barnaby was out collecting berries, so it was the perfect time for a surprise. JellyJiggle filled his bucket with water, and then, instead of just a little drop,
he poured a great big glug, glug, glug of the Super Bubble soap into the bucket.
More soap means more clean, he reasoned with a happy nod. He dipped his sponge into the water, and a mountain of fluffy white bubbles erupted from the bucket. It didn't just fill the bucket.
It overflowed onto the floor, growing bigger and bigger with every passing second.
He started scrubbing the windows, but with every wipe, the bubbles multiplied. Soon, tiny bubbles were floating all through Barnaby's cabin, shimmering like tiny rainbows in the light. JellyJiggle scrubbed the floors, and a river of foam began to flow out the front door. It wasn't just cleaning, it was a bubble party. By the time he was done, Barnaby's cabin was so full of bubbles you could barely see the furniture. The foam spilled out into the yard, creating a soft, bouncy carpet of white. Perfectly clean, JellyJiggle declared, although he had to wade through bubbles up to his knees to get out. Next, he bounced over to Penelope Pig's pretty pink cottage. Penelope was at the market, so JellyJiggle got right to work. Remembering the bubble explosion at Barnabas, he thought, maybe just a slightly smaller glug this time. But the Super Bubble Soap was just too super. The moment it hit the water, another bubble bonanza. He washed Penelope's dishes, and the bubbles filled the sink, crept up the walls, and tumbled out the kitchen window. He mopped the floors, and a wave of suds rolled through the house. The foam cascaded down her front steps like a bubbly waterfall. It was beautiful, but it was also getting a little out of control. From there, JellyJiggle visited Sammy Squirrel's treehouse. He thought, maybe cleaning from the top down is a good idea. He climbed the rope ladder with his bucket and super soap. But cleaning a treehouse with Super Bubble Soap turned out to be a very slippery affair. The bubbles poured out of the treehouse windows and drifted down, covering the entire oak tree in a blanket of foam. It looked like a giant ice cream cone. Soon, the bubbly rivers from Barnaby's cabin, Penelope's cottage, and Sammy's treehouse all began to meet in the center of town. A sea of shimmering, wobbly bubbles started to fill the town square. It was ankle-deep, then knee-deep, then waist-deep. Townsfolk coming back from their morning errands stopped and stared. What was happening? Barnaby Bear returned to find his cabin looking like a giant marshmallow. Penelope Pig saw a bubbly waterfall where her front porch used to be. The whole town was covered in a giggling, jiggling ocean of foam. People started slipping and sliding. "Whoop!" cried the baker as he skidded on a patch of suds. landing softly in a pillow of bubbles. The mail carrier slid all the way from one end of the street to the other, laughing the whole way. It wasn't a messy disaster. It was a slippery, slide-wide playground.
JellyJiggle looked at the town-wide bubble bath he had created. At first, he felt a little worried.
Oh my, this wasn't exactly what I planned, he whispered to himself.
But then he saw everyone laughing and playing.
The little bunny children were making bubble angels, and even grumpy Mr. Badger was smiling as he slid past on a runaway barrel. That's when JellyJiggle had his most brilliant idea of the day.
He saw his long-handled mop floating by.
Egg Rabbit hopped on top and put his feet on the mop head.
"Surf's up," he shouted with a joyful wiggle.
He used a mop like a surfboard, riding the bubbly waves through the town square.
He swooshed past the fountain, did a cool spin around the clock tower, and waved to all his friends.
"Look at me!" he yelled. "I'm the Bubble King!" Everyone cheered.
They saw what a fun, accidental party JellyJiggle had started. Barnaby Bear found a large washtub and used it as a boat, paddling through the foam with 2 big spoons. Penelope Pig and Sammy Squirrel started a friendly bubble fight, tossing handfuls of light, airy suds at each other.
The whole town joined in the fun.
They slid, they surfed, they laughed.
They played in the biggest, bubbliest, most wonderful mess the town had ever seen. As the sun began to set, the bubbles slowly started to pop, leaving everything behind, sparkling clean. The streets, the houses, the fences, everything gleamed and shone. JellyJiggle's surprise cleaning day had been a huge success, just not in the way he had expected. He had not only cleaned the town, but he had also filled it with laughter and joy. That everyone other to thank you, JellyJiggle,
said Barnaby Bear.
That was the most fun I've ever had cleaning.
My cottage has never been so shiny, added Penelope Pig.
JellyJiggle just wiggled happily. He learned that sometimes, even when things don't go exactly as planned, they can turn out even better. And that a little bit of super bubble soap, okay? Maybe a lot can turn an ordinary day into an extraordinary adventure. And so JellyJiggle's super clean disaster went down in history as the best, most bubbly day the town had ever had. What a fantastic story! I hope you enjoyed our sudsy adventure with JellyJiggle. Remember, sometimes the best fun comes from the biggest surprises. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you loved our story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing adventures. We can't wait to see you again next time. Bye-bye.